Hello and welcome to Seasonal Anime Impressions for Summer 2023. This is your host, Yo Mama's boyfriend. And, this is a pretty stinker season. This is like one of the most underwhelming seasons we've had in quite some time, and I'm very disappointed. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I'll go over everything anyway. And, share my really excellent thoughts on everything. So, let's jump in once again with what do I even look for in any of these shows? First thing I look for is characters and character designs because, these characters are who you're going to be spending a lot of time with. And if you don't like who you're looking at or what they represent or any of the above, you're most likely not going to like the show. Next to the visual elements, the visual element is, different for everybody, but to me, I prefer the more contemporary portrayal of a lot of ideas because, it's a lot more polished. I prefer polish over a lot of older shows, but you know what? To each their own sometimes. Uh, Usually animation and sort of like stylistic choices are the most apparent to me, so I usually take those into account when, they're trying to be pretty or something like that. Sometimes it's unfounded though. And the last thing I look for is entertainment value. And this goes true for every single piece of media you'll ever watch. If it's not entertaining, you know, there's really no point to watching it. So let's just begin. Bang Dream hits my go. Sans Zigen. Looks like nobody's watching this one, but you know what? I watched it for 2 minutes at least. 2 minute drop. CGI doesn't look bad. The writing is just a little too dramatic for the first 2 minutes of the show. It feels like I'm watching a Shakespeare climax, but at the very beginning. All right, moving on. Strong start. Ryza, no. Atelier. Tokoyami, no. Joou, Himitsu, no. Kakurega. Atelier, Ryza, Ever Darkness, and Secret Hideout the Animation. Leiden Films. 5 minute drop. Main character dialogue is what happens when you adapt literally everything about a character, including their internal monologue. It's annoying to hear them comment on literally every stupid thing within their sites. Production's below average, but it's watchable. Character designs are okay. So yeah, I'm speedrunning. Uchi no Kaisha, no Chiisai Senpai, no Hanashi, My Tiny Senpai. Project 9. I'm a bit curious. I don't remember anything Project 9 has ever done. A lot of drops apparently. Oops. 3 minute drop. I don't have the patience for this conceit. The character designs are the most basic idea you could come up with, but the actual design idea for the show, but the actual idea for the show also sucks. The main girl is just a legal lolly that does anime stuff for no reason, and I don't know if I'll ever understand this genre of show. The Office Workers show. It's not my favorite. Ayaka, A Story of Bonds and Wounds. Studio Blanc. Didn't they do that Beyond Your Eternity show? No, they didn't. Just more drops. 3 minute drop. Production value sucks, and it sounds like the audio's underwater. That might have been just me, actually. Characters look like poop. Didn't care enough to see what the show was actually about. Jitsu wa ore Saikyou deshita. Am I actually the strongest? Staple entertainment. 8 minute drop. The concept is just your average isekai. Nothing really to note here. The main character doesn't feel like a shut-in or whatever they made him to be in the previous life. Also, he's just beyond OP to the point. or to begin with, which is, literally in the title, but that's boring. Most of the most of the isekai that everyone and their grandmother thinks are good always starts with a gritty context or something like that, but this one doesn't have it. He's just immediately OP. Genjitsu no Yohane, Sunshine in the Mirror. Yohane, the Parhelion, Sunshine in the Mirror. This is like a Love Live spin-off somehow. I didn't see it. Studio Sunrise. Wacky. 6 minute drop. So this is what happens. Oh wait. So this is what it's like. What is this awful sentence? So what this is. I need to change this. This is already bothering me. This is. So this is a sort of magical love live spin-off show, and I don't really care, especially because the main girl's a brat and annoying. I get where they're going with the show, coming of age story, but really, eh. Production looks fine, designs aren't bad. Level 1 Maou to 1 room Yuusha, level 1 Demon Lord and 1 room Hero, Silverlink Blade. 4 minute drop, no, just no. The intro hero versus Demon Lord sequence was boring. Then they transition into Demon Lord reincarnating into midget and they make him cross dress. No. No. I don't think so. Okashi, not Tensei, Sweet Incarnation, Senior GSP. 1 minute drop, reincarnated as pastry chef, yawn, show looks like poop, so many sparkles, bright light, and in the beginning they make every character just a pure black entity because they're lazy and they don't feel like drawing in faces. Suki na koga Megane wo Wasureta. The girl I like forgot her glasses. Go hands. 1 minute drop. Please no, this is unreal. The main guy looks like garbage. Second of all, they start the show making him repeat every phrase twice like it's supposed to make me ooh and ah. Begin quote. I have a crush on a girl. I have a crush on a girl. That girl. That girl. End quote. Interesting. Yumemiru, Danshi wa Genjitsushugisha, The Dreaming Boy is a realist, Studio Gokami. Uh, 11 minute drop. You know what's funny? I almost bought into the idea of this being my trashy show of the season, but I quickly realized that the deepest pit of hell sounds nicer than finishing this show to the end. The character designs are beyond awful, the production is below average, the writing is inhuman. Somehow they hooked me in for 11 minutes, but I finally broke free of the curse of Raw. Watashi no Shiawase na Kekon, My Happy Marriage, Kinema Citrus. Ha 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 ha. 2 minute drop. What a drama queen. I hate shows that open with the Waterworks monologue. Like the show just started. Why are we monologuing? Your backstory is irrelevant. Uh, and I started to quote nothing here. The poop dripped off my butt like sakura blossoms. I went to the toilet. There was no toilet paper. Like they're spitting haikus or something. I also hate that the show opens up with the most comically evil people ever. Grah! The tea is incorrect. Go jump off a bridge now. Get me some better tea. It's just awful. It's just awful. Jito Hanbaiki ni Umare Kawata Ore wa Meikyu wo Samayo. Reborn as a vending machine, now I wander the dungeon. Goku me again. Haha. 2 minute drop. I get that the voice actor is doing the best he can to make this even remotely exciting, but like, come on. There's just no way a sane person is watching this show and cackling at this ridiculous conceit. Undead Girl Murder Farce, a Lapin track. 11-minute drop. This is actually a prospective candidate if they decided to stylize the show a bit more. Especially the main character. He looks so out of place in the show when everyone else looks fine for the time period. There's some interest for a while until I got bored because they started talking. Higeki no Genkyo to Naru Saikyou Gedo Last Boss Jo Watami no Tame ni Tsukishimasu. The most heretical last boss queen from villainess to savior. Oh, alum team Yoshioka. 2-minute drop. I stopped caring once she started talking about random RPG MMO nonsense. The production looks fine. Main character, eh. Hyakushou Kizoku. Pie in the sky. 1-minute drop, so it's like biopic shorts in the form of anime. I mean, if this was meant to be educational, why not make it just a general interview? Seija Muso, Salaryman, Isekai de Ika no Koru, Tame ni Ayumu, Michi, The Great Cleric, Yokohama Animation Lab, Cloud Hearts, whatever. 1-minute drop. I mean, did they think that the less original the isekai concept, the more entertaining? I don't know anymore. The visuals are whatever, the characters are garbage. I actually saw 2 episodes of this. Rurouni Kenshin, Meiju Kenkaku Romatan. So, this is the return of Rurouni Kenshin for some reason. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but apparently the controversy isn't deep enough for them to never make another Rurouni Kenshin. And you know what? I'm sort of down for this because I never watched the original, so I'll just sort. I mean, the episodes I saw were fine. I mean, you'll hear my thoughts in a second. So I think Rie Takahashi is the wackiest placement in this show, but her performance really steals the whole episode. She is so good at these naive yet endearing types, and unlike her uneventful performance in Oshi no Ko, she practically gets to flex her technical ability this episode because Kenshin doesn't really need to talk that much. Aside from that, the episode is pretty fine. The show definitely tries to stylize with a more modern touch. We are treated to some thicker black outlines on the characters, like Kyoji Asano on Attack on Titan. I mean, he's not on the project, but it looks similar. Frankly, I don't know how to feel about the visual element yet, because I prefer the ultra gritty direction and style of the OVA, but I'm willing to give it a chance here because, didn't see the original. And they are lucky. I'm a sucker for Takahashi here. And then episode 2, the Yoda speak from Kenshin is annoying, and then the rest of the episode was enjoyable, aside from the flashbacks for no reason. So Kenshin, it's not exactly a show that I'm like willing to say is even a contender for like a good show of the season. The only reason it is even possibly in my sights is because of my history with Kenshin. And that is only because the OVA is just so unbelievably just amazing. That's the only reason I'm watching this. Uh, AI no Idenshi, the gene of AI, Madhouse. 8-minute drop. So what? It's just a Neuralink drama show. The character designs suck. It's not even that impressive of a concept. The first case, the guy is way too serious and it's pretty yawn worthy. Maybe if these characters spoke normally, I could stomach more minutes. Nanatsu no Maken ga Shihai Soru, Reign of the Seven Spellblades, JC Staff. 2-second drop. First words out of the show mention Academy, therefore I'm out. Three-minute drop. I don't care how nice your show looks. If you spend 3 minutes just jerking the viewer off with these shots of nothing, I'm gonna lose my mind. Where am I? Liar, liar, geek toys. 1 minute drop, straight at the gate. Everything about the show is unlikable. Garbage protagonist, exposition dump, and Academy show. Impossible for me to watch. Eiyuu Kyoushitsu, Classroom for Heroes, Actas. 3 minute drop. You know, for a second they almost had me fooled. The intro sequence is actually kind of exciting and the production quality is not half bad. The characters look bland, but they got my attention until the horrible reality struck. Classroom is in the name, which means, you guessed it, Academy show. Impossible. Temple, Tempuru. No one can live on loneliness. Gecko. 10-minute drop. So I'm waiting for the part where they have, some coitus, but it's not coming. What's the point of doing a show like this if you're not going to go all the way? That is my single biggest complaint with this genre. It's that it doesn't have to be hentai, guys. Walter had sexual intercourse with Skylar like 3 times and it was still a show. No point in doing all this eye candy with no purpose. The show is also trying to be funny, but it's not funny. It's painfully not funny. That is my single biggest problem with this genre. Please just do anything. This blue balling is not entertaining. Okay, now this is one of the most popular shows of the season, and once again, I have no clue why. Zom 100, Zombie ni Naru, Made ni Shitai, 100 no Koto, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, Bug Films. This show cannot be real. This is one of those shows. Strap in. So how exactly am I supposed to find this entertaining if they start off the show with a misdirect into a flashback sequence? Let's not ignore the fake 70mm black bars as well, because this is just so cinematic and it's real film, guys. This is just a code red of idiocy. To top it all off, they present this whole flashback as like a Greek allegory or something like, oh, you didn't expect this, huh? It's tragic, but it's life. So, oh, lol, LOL. What's funny is that there's no reason they even use these stupid black bars because the anime always uses them to just be quirky. Like, first of all, they don't even differentiate why they're using flashbacks in the first place. Some shows use them just for like, oh, I'm separating the present from the past and I'm going to use the black bars to do whatever. Like that still sucks, but it doesn't suck as much as this because they use it for past and present. They just use the 70mm for no reason. There's no such thing as 70mm in it's absurd. The black bars, you specifically added it on just for stylistic effect, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Who's falling for this? I'm done. I'm just so done. So this is moving on. Like the love interest, right, of the show, like maybe like 11 minutes in, is cucking the main dude. Why? And then we just get to experience the pure vitriol of not even seeing this coming because it's just so out of left field and so unnecessary. Like, why? In what universe was I like, oh my god? Oh, I think specifically, in my opinion, the goal here is to make the viewer as mad as possible with the awful writing. And then, in some maybe alternate universe, one of the writers was supposed to be like, oh, the toddlers watching this show will be like, no, she's cocking him. Oh my god. What is the goal here? What is the goal? really ask yourself why they chose to cuck him for no reason. And you know what? When I was also at that 10-minute mark, it just clicked with me in my head that they were gonna make this show into like him turning into a metaphorical zombie because he's just working so hard, and now like he's a part of the zombie folk, and it's gonna be like some like big metaphor, social like commentary type thing. And you know what? I still thought that was a terrible conceit. I still think that's like an awful conceit. So it ends up that this is not the case, and I was even more unimpressed. So before I get into that, we have to accept the fact that they had the gall to make it black and white as well and add film grain. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? The 70 millimeter wasn't enough, so you had to make it like black and white and add film grain as if this show already wasn't trying to be so auteur that it hurts. It's not. What do you think you're doing? I don't want to believe they're real for this. I actually, there's a real person behind the scenes pulling the strings and being like, yeah, add the film grain. That's really gonna grit this thing up. It's really gonna spruce the visuals up. They're gonna be so impressed. Like, are you serious right now? So, uh, this is the point where I I got to the part in the episode where I was completely wrong about the metaphorical social commentary zombie thing, and he's just suddenly fully conscious and cognitive because they're zombies for some reason. And in my opinion, the reason my hypothesis about that social commentary thing was wrong is because I gave them a little too much credit to write in a logical direction. So that's my fault. Uh, but now, for some ungodly reason, just unbelievably stupid reason, now they're not going to double down on the black bars. They get rid of the black bars, the film grain, the black and white, because somehow, some in some separate universe, him not going into work is like the greatest plot twist since Eve ate from the forbidden tree. Somebody wake me up. Wake me up from this coma. I can't believe this. Was anyone amazed at this reveal? Was anyone amazed? I wasn't. I just cannot tell you how you could possibly be amazed at this bursting into color and energy as such a life-changing event that it makes you pop out of your chair and leap with joy. I don't get it. I may as well just pull out my leap pad if we're gonna act like toddlers thinking that this show is anything other than a production black hole. This show cost them so much money to make, and they just waste it by adding these stupid effects and also the awful writing, but that's besides the point. You know, you know what's really funny though? I thought that because the world burst into colors and he regained consciousness to the freedom of the world around him, he would actually explore that idea. But no, we are met with the horrifying reality that the writers want to make him go back to the lion's den and save the chick for no reason. He finally gets a day off. He's a literal walking zombie. He's finally regained consciousness and cognitive ability. He's going to rejoin the world and live his life to the fullest. Nope, time to go back and save the chick. Who does he think he is, Chuck Norris? Does this guy throw a grenade and then 20 people die and then the grenade explodes? I keep thinking about Gladiator at this moment. The are you not entertained moment, because I would like to respond to Maximus at this time, because I am not entertained at this moment. I am really not entertained. Who does he think he is? Okay. And the one single part of this episode that has been positive is the heart to heart with the zombie chick, because it was directed well. But that was 1 minute of content that was even remotely positive. So, you know, I'll give them that. I will give them that credit. But what did I think in total? The show is a huge waste of money. This is an awful concept, but it looks competent production-wise. The character designs look basic, but I mean, they sort of fit the world since they're just normal dudes. But still, are we looking for normal dudes when we are watching a zombie apocalypse show? No kid is going to be telling their dad about the awesome character they saw on TV wearing a dress shirt and slacks. Are we serious with this? Was it entertaining? No, it wasn't. So officially, a part of my three check boxes is checks zero of them. Zero boxes are checked, and it does them in the most offensive way. So that's this show, Zom 100. You're welcome. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. Let's actually see some reviews for this show. This guy saw 6 episodes. A 9. Oh wow. I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't really give it a chance. I didn't really give a chance to a lot this summer. A lot of people told me to give this anime a chance. I watched this anime and I was flabbergasted. Guys, he was flabbergasted. I'm not exaggerating. This anime has one of the best first episodes I have ever watched. Zom 100 has one of the best, not best animation this summer, and no question, the best original story this season. Every character has his role to make this anime as great as it is, even the annoying ones. It's so emotional, and you can't stop watching after episode 1. I recommend this anime so much. It has such large potential. It's a 9 for me. Let's check the mean score. I'm closing my eyes right now. His mean score is at least a 7. Yup. I open my eyes and look at the horrifying reality in front of me. It's at least a 7. I Beyond me. It's beyond me. Do people have eyes nowadays? I always wonder this. Every single season I rage over the next popular show, and I just wonder, do people actually have eyes? Were they born with a cognitive ability? And you know what? The next show, back-to-back Ragers, back-to-back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are presented with the horrifying reality of Mushoku Tensei 2, Isekai Itara Hanki Dasu. Season 2 of Mushoku Tensei has to be one of the worst follow-ups to any show I have ever seen in my entire life. This is beyond me. This is just beyond me. Now this one's a really long one, so you're gonna have to double buckle in for this one. Because I watched all the way up to episode 8. Okay, episode 1. And just like that, the magic that fueled the spectacle this show offered has now been scrapped for the worst possible route possible, the recluse. I have always said, ever since the beginning, that the worst part of this show is the otaku world commentary dripping into the actual fun parts of the show. Not that it can't be an interesting side commentary, but the problem is, it's just not interesting here. The entire crux of this dude actually trying in life, because the prospect of real change, uh, hold on, because it basically, he's trying to put a real change to his approach in reality in this new life. His previous life left his worldview corrupted and jaded, but it's not as though it had much effect on this, uh, this is so small. The font is so small. Can we update the font? But it's not as though it had much effect on his growth into the character that season 1 portrayed. It's apparent that the more the show wants to have you try to connect with his former self, the more the show chooses to drown its mood in dramaticism and this overbearing feeling of boohoo, I'm sad. And then the worse the quality of the show actually gets. It's a shame because there is real fun in seeing this high budget fantasy where the concept is not original, but it's done to a high polish. And the plot doesn't really have to mean that much. Those initial episodes of season 1 really captivate the viewer into believing there is a growth of this character before they actually, you know, reincarnate into this brand new individual. And we as viewers are also willing to let that individual die. Like we don't really care, honestly. Because the disgusting former self is just unbelievably unlikable. You know, even besides the fact that he's a shut-in, he's also like hinted to be a pedophile or something like that, and it's really, and he's also rude to everyone that interacts with him. My memory is not that great. But it's probably not far off. That's pretty much what his character is. So when you make a character like this, these characters are built to make the isekai more of an escapism. That's kind of what all of these are. And aside from the sad boy elements, the rest of the supporting cast in episode 1 present themselves as like the total NPC type. Their first interaction with Rudy on the caravan had me so unbelievably bored because of how slow they interacted with this pouty. It's like character, Rudy, character, Rudy, character, Rudy. Like it's so slow. They could not have paced that any slower. Their designs are also boring, but I mean they are meant to stay like multiple episodes for some reason, which I thought was like the wackiest idea ever because they just don't look like characters that would stay multiple episodes. All I know is that the creators are just dumb as hell to make this big chick, the bigger of the chicks, wear like a crop top in the snowy blizzard mountains. Who was the character designer for this? Tell me why she's wearing a crop top right now. Did anyone think that was wrong when we got to any stage of the production? Did anyone think that was wrong? It's also worth mentioning that the kickoff of this episode has really weak production value. And you know what? Maybe Mappa is growing on me a little bit with their background art, but you guys need to commission that guy to help you out because frankly, this show needs a lot more stylization if you want it to actually succeed. That explosion that they did on the tail end of this episode was one of the weakest things I've ever seen. Like you saw better production on explosions back in 2016 with Konosuba. Like it's been that long. And this is what we were given 5+ years later. Like surely we figured this out by now. Also, at the end of the episode, they think I'm a toddler or something. The entire episode, the dudes in the bar are like total jerks, and they're just the worst bastards on the planet. And then suddenly, they're hip hip hooray once a round of beers is on the table. Like, give me a break with the PBS Kids Word Girl right now. I don't get it. I actually like Word Girl, so no hate to Word Girl. But basically, to sum this episode up, it's just SAO episode 3, but everyone survived. And then by the end, I don't even know why did he overcome his anxiety thing? Like how did he overcome it? Because it was just a fight. It was just a fight. I don't get the logic behind that, but whatever. That episode uber sucked. Episode 2 still milk toast and runs pretty much like your typical fantasy show, which you don't want in this type of show. Uh there's not a lot of reason to care at this point, but at least the fight scene was okay. The interactions throughout the episode with the rival gang leader was beyond cringeworthy and stupid. And I honestly have no idea what they're trying to do here. Like, is he just here to plot device Rudius's development? Because having him spit it out for no reason is probably the most boring way to do it ever. He just monologues at him and just explains his character trauma or whatever. Like, it's possibly the most boring way to do it. Uh, in the same episode, he has this mini characterization arc in the form of saving Sarah. So why the random dump of author subtext? I don't know. Uh, it doesn't really make sense to do this when he literally does the thing that the rival guild guy says he would do or needs to do, and they just have him do it anyway. So that entire sequence where he's explaining the character arc and stuff like that, it's useless because he just saves Sarah in the end, and then has his own. He completes that whatever like uh. And in that stead, right, saving Sarah is not like the strongest motivation ever, but it's something at least, I guess. Eh, it doesn't really make sense for him to save Sarah because Sarah's a total jerk. Sarah is the one of the worst characters because beyond annoying, right? And no one cares about her at this point. It's been 2 episodes. Like who cares? But the words they use are just incredible, you know. Oh, I thought I saved her, but in reality she saved me. Like nerd emoji alert. This is cliche. This is puny. This is garbage, okay? but it's still better than the opposing guild leader spouting his character arc for no reason. Like, really? In this episode, why is Rudius wearing shorts still and a single layer of clothing at all times? Why? We are in the blizzard. We are in the snowy mountains. He's wearing shorts and like a rag for a shirt. Does no one think this is stupid? Does no one think this is stupid? Whatever. Episode 3. Okay, what is going on now? How does Stone Cold Steve Sarah go from total unbelievable garbage, annoying as hell person to cutesy to coy, ask me out on a date girl? Wow. People don't change their entire personality overnight. Are we serious right now? Months on end. Months. She's still annoying and rude. And then suddenly, one rescue mission changes her entire being into this, Rudius, oh. The world shook. The rapture happened. I'm beyond ecstatic at this amazing event. Like, is this 2012 all over again? The world is ending. Okay. Uh, the whole like Rudius, I need a bigger breastplate. Like, oh, they have to be kidding. They have to be kidding. If at this point Rudius jumped off a bridge and said "Sayonara, Minasan," it would make more sense than the breastplate line. It would make more sense. And then, in this episode, Satan comes up from hell itself to put this in my eyeballs. There's just no way. There's just no way that sex scene happened. No. 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 This is not real. This is not real life. I know my mortal eyes did not witness something that unholy and that cringeworthy. I'm lost for words. And the scene right after that plays out like a Shakespearean play with how dramatic it is. And I'm not saying like a mental break like that would have been an emotional moment for Rudius, but why is the setup for it so tensionless and whiny? It sounds like a temper tantrum than a real psychotic break. It's awful. And here, let me explain this episode as a seasoned veteran of these types of situations in anime in general. This sex scene is a tough watch because it's awful writing and it's uncomfortable and cringe as hell. I have no issue with redo a feeler or like watching redo a feeler 4 times because I know exactly what it's doing. In the first episode, you are presented with exactly what kind of show it's going to be. It's raunchy, absurd, and it knows its audience. What is presented is laid clearly out before you. If you don't like it, well, that's clear. It'll build on the concepts that it put before you every single episode, but it's not outright directly trying to be a hentai, right? The visual core of the scenes are displayed as to not insult your intelligence. The issue with Mushoku Tensei is that it doesn't necessarily know when to let loose and let the viewer have their eye candy, and when the viewer does not want to see Rudius strip his kitty companion. What am I watching is the question every viewer is asking during that scene, because ask yourself, is the show just trying to be flirtatious with its sexual themes? Definitely not. The sexual nature of the show has been here since the beginning. But really, I don't know what they want to do. My theory is that they're indecisive about this because they're scared. Scared of ruining chances of marketing and commercial rating. But when you're making art, you can't be concerned about this stuff because clearly they're concerned about this not as an art piece. It's a product to be presented and sold. But I've always said with this genre, if you're gonna go raunchy, do it. Even if it's cringy. Go all the way. at least my intelligence won't be insulted because this is just unforgivable what they did here. That aside, they do take it one step further by cutting the only ties Rudius has in exchange for the other party leader guy for no reason. They don't even bother to resolve that problem with Sarah, or they instead just scapegoat it and give him more distractions. How many cycles of this stupid, oh, I'm a recluse, I can't do anything. How many times does this arc have to happen? It's the same thing. Rudius is the biggest loser ever. Please, this cannot be that hard to fix. These past 3 episodes may be the worst in the entire isekai genre. I am convinced. This is just unbelievable that they wasted 3 episodes on this. If you took these 3 episodes out of the season, the show would not change. If you started the show of him going to the Renoa University and here's how I would structure this season, right? Remove the first 3 episodes of this random mini arc that he goes through, and just start at Renoa, and then the first 6 episodes, you would just have it reveal at the last episode was episode 6. Sylphie is revealed, and then it's like, oh wow, I found my friend. And then the next 6 episodes of this season is him going to find his mom or doing something akin to that, or like figuring out the portal stuff. Like that's the perfect way to pace this, because as you will see as I discuss the rest of the episodes, I am currently at episode 8 and nothing has happened. We are at episode 8 and the arc has not started. The arc of this season is that he has erectile dysfunction. Is that the best we can come up with? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? The best we could come up with for this entire season is that he has erectile dysfunction. Tell me that's a good concept. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're a liar. You're just a liar if you say this is even remotely interesting. You're a liar. Episode 4, I found this to be way better and more accustomed to what we see like in a usual Mushoku Tensei episode. Good structure, decent writing, and I was hopeful at that point that this would be like the start of the show because I did not understand how many more of these depression. I have depression and now I don't have it. Episodes I could take. There's only so much a man can take. Episode 5, another strong episode. No major gripes. Everything looks normal now, and I just still was in disbelief at episode 3. Unreal like the engine. Episode 6, interesting episode other than the fact that they tried to make the slave trade not big of a deal, which is an interesting idea because people usually do it for the shock factor, right? But in this episode, it's completely normal and not big of a deal. But why though? Why is it not big of a deal? It's not like when he was in the normal world or in like the real world. Oh, the slave trade. Oh, I'm completely fine with this. He just has no problem picking, browsing, like he's going shopping at Macy's. Like, what? And then after they buy the slave just accepts it and recovers from malnutrition in a matter of hours. Are we serious with this? Like she just has a bowl of porridge and now she's just not malnourished anymore and happy. She's like, oh, I gotta get a name now. What's your name? Oh, I don't know. It's Poop Lover 47. Like, come on. They get a slave to make figurines? What is the content of this episode? Like, this has to be some fetish thing. I don't get it. What is this content? And then, like, the slave is a lolly, first of all. But that is even besides the point of this ridiculous concept for an episode. Like, why? Why? Ask yourself this question. Episode 7, the episode is, like, pretty funny, I guess. And this is the point where I started wondering, where are the stakes? And I said, is the stake of this season really Rudius's boner? Because if so, I want to know what went wrong for us to get here. We are founding an entire season on one dude's boner. And then episode 8, nothing happened. And I have no earthly way to predict what is logical for this story at this point. Because there's nothing logical in the story right now. What are we doing? What is even happening? It's been we know, like, okay, it would be one thing if we had no idea who Sylvie was and it was just a random white-haired person, but we saw the other episode. Like, we know who this is. And then they try to build it up as like, oh, this is a homoeroticism for Rudius. Oh, wow, what the heck? He's getting his drive back, but it's a homoerotic relationship. Like, whoa, I, please, why? What is this? Someone save me from this nightmare. I beyond embarrassing episodes. Still, nothing as bad as this episode 3. That is one of the worst episodes ever created by humankind. The fact that a real human even thought that that was okay is it leaves me speechless. It leaves me utterly and viscerally speechless. Dark Gathering, OLM. 3-minute drop. Character designs look like garbage. Production also looks like poop. I don't really care about the supernatural nonsense. Synduality, Noir. Uh, 4-minute drop. Production value doesn't look that bad considering how blended the CGI looks to the 2D. But the character designs are basic, and they start with the show doing action sequences that have pretty bad action direction. Maybe it's a budget thing, but I hate when characters talk and cut in the middle of fights. 3-minute drop, boring action sequence, transition to the exposition dump, production looks average, characters, nope. Shiro Seijo, Takuro, Bokushi, Saint Cecilia, and Pastor Lawrence, Dogokobo. 2-minute drop. I don't like the concept. The whole pastor and saint thing can't possibly go anywhere. Interesting. The production looks fine. I actually like the main girl's design. Why did I misspell this? But the pastor looks like insert light novel protag. And that's it. That's a season. Uh, let's let's see. So Mushoku Tensei, obviously, I will not be recommending. I usually don't rate shows before they end, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to stick at a 3. The only way for this show to even reach a 4 is if the next 4 episodes are all 9s and aboves. Every single episode has to be a 9 out of 10 or above in order for this show to even reach 4. That's how offensive this show is. And Rurouni Kenshin, I don't feel like recommending because you pretty much don't need to watch this. Like, you really don't. It's just here, and I don't know why it's here, but it's here. So that is that show. Uh, so yeah, 0 shows to recommend this season. Nothing is good. This is probably one of the worst seasons I've seen in a while, but really nothing new. Really just blah. I'm telling you, if Kendrick Lamar started writing anime, he would he would undeniably write something better than Mushoku Tensei season 2 right now. I have no doubt in my mind. No doubt.